in school, the teacher there'll be a question or there'll be a topic on the board or whatever, and we're all in the classroom. The teacher will say, who knows this answer? Or has anyone got any questions that doesn't know? And everyone will stay silent and just sit there, hoping that the teacher doesn't pick them out. And obviously we're not gonna put our hand up in case we look stupid. Now, I wanna make it clear, that looking stupid thing is very natural, and it's an innate primal sort of survival instinct that we have. Reason being is because if we went back hundreds of years and we're all, I don't know, in the forest with our tribe, if one of us seemed to know less than the others, then that will be perceived as a lack of competency. That would be perceived as maybe a weakness in the tribe. And you can look through human history and what happens to the perceived weakest link. And over hundreds of years, we have now been programmed to not ask the dumb question, or we've been programmed, just to sit there and act as if we know. Now, cool. We're no longer in forests, in tribes. And we're in the modern day where we can actually have access to any information, any topic. There's not a thing on earth that we cannot learn about, which is beautiful only if we can undo some of the old patterns that we have, like that one. Now, how does that manifest into being retarded? What I mean by that is, think about how many times in school, as I said, that we sat there, I'm guilty of this, every single lesson I would sit there and I just hope teacher don't say nothing, don't ask me, I don't know, whatever. But someone would always put their hand up and they'd be like the fool person. But when we start to think about that person that put their hand up and said, sir, I don't know, can you explain that again? And then they explained it again. We all in the classroom had like a sigh of relief and said, thank God that idiot asked a question because we didn't know. Now, I'm gonna put it to you. Who's the idiot? Who's the actual idiot? The one that acts like they know but doesn't know, or the one that realizes they don't know and then asks the question? Now you take those two people and you now put them into the real world for years and years and years, and jobs and business and this and whatnot, whatever we're doing. And you take somebody that doesn't know but asks the question every single day, or every time they see a word that they don't understand the meaning of, they go and research it. You do that for at least a year, 2 years, you're gonna end up becoming quite clever. Now, the other person who doesn't ask the question, continues to act as if they know, but doesn't actually know, they're never gonna ask the question, which means they're gonna be the same level of intelligence from when they're 20 years old to when they're 30 years old. And this is the premise of the video of what I'm talking about. And look, by no means am I sitting here on my high horse like I know everything, not at all. However, I know considerably more than what I did when I was 19, 20 years old, about topics I never thought I'd even be able to scratch the surface on. And this is a habit that I would empower you to do. The process of learning is simply the acknowledgement of realizing you don't know anything. Because it's when we don't know anything or think we don't know anything that we open ourselves up to new answers. Somebody that has done this so well, and I'm going to use an example, somebody that's done this so well is Joe Rogan. You may have heard of him. The biggest podcast on the planet. Now, he is not like intellectually gifted per se. He's not like a master at do you know what I mean? At something, obviously martial arts and whatnot, but like he's not intellectually gifted. However, what he's done really, really well, which has put him up now to the point where he is probably one of the most intelligent people on the planet, it's not because he studied something for like years and has got like a piece of paper to say he's got like this master's. No. The reason why he's so intelligent is because he's sat there on the other side of a mic and he's got a genius in the space. For example, Brian Cox, who's a scientist. He's got somebody like David Goggins, who will talk about like mindset, resilience, whatever. Like all of these people, loads of people from loads of different topics and places and backgrounds. And he would ask dumb questions. But he would sit opposite Brian Cox and he would say, all right, what is science? Can you like break down what science is? Now that's a dumb question. However, what he's done over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 episodes, I don't know how many episodes he's got now, is imagine if you ask 10 dumb questions, 30,000 times. Imagine what happens to your mind. Imagine the unlocks and insights that you will understand about most topics. I hope that that's building the picture of why being retarded has helped me anyways become a little bit smarter. And by no means am I clever. By no means will this make you a genius. However, what this will do, and somebody else who's a great example of this, is Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom. What's he done? He's not an expert at one thing, but he sat there and he said, okay. And he's invited loads of experts from all of different fields to speak about their particular field, and he'll ask dumb questions, or what we believe to be as dumb questions. Now, I guess what I would say is the point and premise of this video is start unlearning to learn. Because we can't learn if we think we already know something. And that has been the key for me anyways. This has been the key to learning things really quickly. Not because I'm gifted, not because I've got some superpowers or talents or whatever, but simply because every time you open your book and you're reading a new book or whatever, and you scroll past a word and you don't know what it means, don't be arrogant and continue to read. Because now you're not going to learn. Because that word might bring context to the whole chapter. But if we don't know what the word means, then we're going to not actually know what the whole chapter is. So if you go past a word and you don't know what that word means, just pause. Look up the word. And then come back. It's no different if you're in a conversation, if you're in a topic and you're speaking. You could be at church, you could be in a conversation with your friends, you could be, I don't know, in a meeting at work, it could be a business meeting, whatever. If somebody says something that you don't know what it is, say, oh, that's an opportunity to learn. And there's two ways that this helps. If somebody says something that's actually new, interesting, and has some context and evidence to it, then you're open to receiving it and you ask the question, well, now you're going to get deeper unlocks from that person on that specific topic. The second reason this is so important, asking the dumb question, is because a lot of people speak about stuff that they don't really understand. Now, if somebody is going like that and saying, this, you got to do this, this, and this, and then you don't question it, then you could be also doing them a disservice, because they may continue to think they're right because you haven't asked the question. However, and this is not about exposing people, but if somebody says something, they don't know what they're talking about, and you ask, could you simplify that? Could you explain that a little bit more? Or how does that make sense into the context of this? And if they sit there like, it just does. Now that goes back to the original point of the whole video where I said that person has simply not undone the patterns that they learned in school. And they've taken all of the information that they think they know and they've stayed the same, haven't learned anything more, and now they pretend to be an expert at things. Speaking was really scary to me and I wouldn't do it. And the reason being is because I didn't have the vernacular, vocabulary, whatever you want to call it. I didn't have that to use words. So I would just get angry and I'd punch things. Now I've got to the point where I'm able to, the camera's been rolling for about 16 minutes and I've been speaking, fine. About 20 words that I've used in this video, I only learned maybe like last year. And I only learned those words simply because I read it somewhere. I didn't know what it meant. And then I went and looked it up and I thought, that's actually quite an interesting word. How can I put that into my vocabulary? How can I use that on a daily basis when it comes to helping people, speaking with people, speaking on camera? And this is something that's helped me a lot. And it might be something that can help you as well. When you see a word you don't understand, ask the question, go look it up. When there's a topic that's popped up in a room full of people, ask the question. Don't be afraid to look dumb. I promise you, it's the best thing you can do, and it's the thing that's going to speed up your learning way quicker than anything else. I've managed to learn about 10, 15 years of knowledge within the space of 2 years. I picked up my first book two years ago and I've read over 50 books. And simply not because I can't even focus properly. I'd sit there and I get distracted within 5 minutes. The only reason I've been able to do this is simply by realizing I don't know anything. And that's made knowing stuff really enjoyable, because I know that anything I learn or anything that any information that I gather and I learn from this one page is going to put me in a net positive. And it's going to put you in a net positive only when you realize that you're in a net negative and that you're an idiot. Simple premise is be an idiot. Act as if you are an idiot, whether you are an idiot or not. You may be intellectually gifted. Well done, fair play to you. But even if you are, act as if you are not, because that's going to give you more unlocks and insights than you could have ever had. And great conversations come from it as well. Anyways, love. See you soon.